I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm so glad you're a vegetarian, because I think this is like, I can have a different conversation with you than I can have with the last people I spoke to.
I'm in a position where I can walk away from here and go, yeah, like I'm changing my choices. I don't think I'm there.
That's fine, but like, I just need you to know that, like, leaving this conversation, you are leaving with the mindset that it's okay that these cows are having their babies taken away from them in my name, and these hens are being sent to slaughter because they're no longer producing eggs in my name. If you're okay with that, then I think that's where we need to leave the conversation. Right, so your name was?
Harrison?
Aaron, lovely to meet you.
Like me, Aaron.
I've got a sign. It says, if you're against animal cruelty, you should be vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Change my mind. Take it away. How could you change my mind?
Well, I'm a vegetarian to start off with. So, and I guess where I wanted to talk about, I guess what I wanted to ask is, do you think the issue is more around modern farming practices than it is? Because modern farming there's no, I guess, split or break between animal cruelty and modern farming, right? It's one of the same. So do you think is there a conversation to be had around what does animal cruelty look like when subsidiary farming or homestead farming is applied?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm so glad you're a vegetarian, because I think this is like, I can have a different conversation with you than I can have with the last people I spoke to, because you kind of get it. Like, I'd imagine the reason that you went vegetarian, was it for animal reasons? Like, you didn't like killing animals?
Yeah, so I had had a really, I'm not on camera. I had a spiritual, I had a really cool moment. I was in northern India doing some work, and at a Sikh temple, the back of it was a cow hospital. So I was helping out at the cow hospital, and I was just had a really moment where I was like looking at these young cows, being like, I don't think I'm more important than you. Like, if I want to eat a steak, I don't want one of you guys to have to die for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it started off as feeling really passionate about not just animal lives, but the idea of the issues being modern meat culture.
Okay.
Right? Because if a cow dies and it feeds someone for a year and a half or a family, while I understand that there is another way to engage in it, I think that is so much better than eating different cows every time you have a piece of jerky, for example.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean. So you're asking from a meat perspective, or from because I would imagine you, as a vegetarian, you still consume like dairy and eggs and things like that?
Yeah, and I try to, so like my partner's family have chooks on their house, so try to eat like ethically sourced. And like what my end goal would be to, have chickens on a place and have a cow that's not calved every year and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So my thing is, like, I think most people, if they took on some rescue animals and things like that, like a little flock of rescue battery cage hens or something, which is what I did. I've got 9 chickens at the moment we've rescued, and like seeing them and like watching the way that they live and interact with each other, it's so beautiful. And in no way would I want them to get to the end of their life and would I want to kill them and like do that to them, because they just like, especially when I know I don't need to. Like, I know I can be completely healthy, eat delicious food without it.
Yeah.
There's no way I would want to. The question I want to ask you, and I'll answer your first question in a moment, but like, you understand that like the factory industrial meat sort of processing system is wrong, and we shouldn't support it. Do you know much about the dairy industry, which sort of like produces about 99% of the milk and dairy products that are available?
Yeah, so my uncle runs he's on a milking farm.
Yeah.
So I've done milking, and I've seen, I guess,
like, you know about how they have to take the babies away from the mum.
Calving. So I think that's probably the part that I find most abhorrent about it.
Yeah. On that farm, did they use artificial insemination?
No. So they brought bulls on.
Okay.
Free range.
Okay.
You got to like walk out, hang out with the cows. Like while they were livestock, they were also cared for.
Yeah, sure. I think that's what you're describing is a better system. Like, it's a better way to do what I would say is a bad thing, and I'll elaborate on that. Like, it's better than the ones where they're on those big carousels and where they're in like a feedlot and they're just eating grain and that kind of thing. But those cows, they can probably only go, even on the free range systems, from what I understand and from what like people I've spoken to, they can go through about 5 pregnancies before they start getting udder problems and they're just not producing a profitable amount of milk. Yeah. And then what happens to the cows?
Usually slaughtered.
Yeah, sent to the same slaughterhouse as the beef cows.
Yeah.
Right? So I think as a vegan, I could make an argument that it's more ethical to I don't think either of these are ethical, but I could say it's more ethical to raise a cow and kill it just for meat than to raise a cow, impregnate it, take its baby away, take its milk, do that 5 times, take 5 babies away from it, and then kill it at the end just so we can have milk. I would say that's less ethical than just eating the meat. I don't think
agree.
either are ethical. So if you agree with that, like what would be the thing standing in the way of you becoming vegan instead of vegetarian? Where, like, because the position of vegans is we're against all animal exploitation. Like anything that comes from an animal that involves exploitation. So just viewing it as a source, like at the moment we view dairy cows as you're making milk for us, when the milk is really for its baby, which is taken away from it. With eggs, for example, the male eggs on their first day of life are sent into either a macerator or a gas chamber to be killed. So half of the chickens that are born to lay eggs, half of them are killed on their first day of life. And again, same as the dairy problem, they will only lay an egg a day for about a year and a half, even on the free range systems. And then after a year and a half, they're sent to slaughter, the same slaughterhouse as the meat chickens. Which I think it's like we're using them for as long as we can make money of them, and then we kill them, which I don't think is ethical. Knowing those things, what would be your best argument to want to continue to support those industries as a vegetarian?
I think from my perspective, like where I would like to get to is that homesteading space where eggs that I eat are chickens that I love, and
Let me, for example, let me grant you that. Let's say you were in a homestead and you had your own chickens and you could raise them and you knew where they were coming from. And let's say you didn't kill them when they were no longer laying eggs. You let them live out their life. If I granted you that and said that's okay, would you agree that you shouldn't eat any other eggs? Because if you're getting any other eggs from a restaurant or from Woolies or Coles, it is definitely coming from a place that kills the baby boys and kills the girls when they're not laying eggs anymore. Would you be comfortable to, or would you be open to saying, you know what, until I'm at that point where I'm personally involved and I know it's coming from a place where the chickens aren't being killed? Because even on like the places that sell at markets and stuff like that, like for example in Mullumbimby, we have an organic farmers market.
Yeah.
There's people that sell eggs there, and like it's probably the most beautiful eggs you can get, the most beautiful organic free range. They still kill their chickens when they're not laying eggs anymore. They get it from a hatchery that kills the baby boys. So I don't think that is an ethical egg option. I think if you rescued some battery hens, right, and ones that were going to be sent to slaughter anyway, and they're laying an egg a week kind of thing, or a couple eggs a week, and you take those eggs, let's say go for that, right? Until then, would you be open to like living vegan and not supporting commercial egg production or even like the organic egg production?
I think like I found the shift to going to vegetarian really easy, right? It was kind of like I had a moment where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just looked for other options. I think trying to figure out how to take eggs out of that diet.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of travel for work, and in Southeast Asia, trying to find vegetarian options, unless I'm looking for temple food, is really tricky.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where eggs kind of, I've used it
I
as
fully
a
get
protein
that.
supplement.
And because I've traveled around Southeast Asia as well, and I fully get that. It is tricky sometimes. Let me ask you a question, because this is a question that really got me over the edge and made me be like, no, I'm not going to just take an easy way and just buy the convenient food. I'm going to make sure I find something better. Or if it's hard to find something better, I need to be more organised and prepared. I asked myself, I said, what's more difficult? Me having to figure out where I can get a better vegan option, or what these chickens are going through in these cages, or what this cow is going through having her babies taken away from it. Like, because if I take the easy way and I go, it's just a bit of cheese, or it's just a glass of milk in a milkshake or whatever, the cows are going through that because of me. And I said, I don't want this to happen in any amount in my name. Where if I just take that easy option, it's happening in my name. And I wasn't comfortable with that. Are you comfortable with that? Like knowing that some of it is happening in your name when if you just put in a bit more effort and suffered a bit of discomfort or a bit of like, it's not so easy, but you know that you're not contributing to that, would you be open to trying to live that lifestyle?
I think, so I've got friends that are vegan.
Because as a vegan of 8 years, I can tell you it's easy, man. Like, especially living in Australia, even traveling. Like, I traveled all of Cambodia. I did a lap around Outback Australia. I was vegan the whole time. You just figure it out, and it gets very easy. You got to take that step, and you just got to do it. What would be your answer to the question? Like, would you be knowing like what happens in the dairy industry when you buy dairy or egg products from any of these places? It kind of it ends up at the same place as the meat that you don't want to eat. So would you be open to like going vegan from now? Like just figuring out, taking that step and like figuring out, okay, what are good breakfast options? Okay, that's what I get now. Like, would you be open to doing that?
I think
instead of just being vegetarian?
I think that it would be a harder adjustment for me, and I know where you're coming from in terms of, obviously I've been trying to make like more ethical choices in terms of getting eggs from farmers markets and in terms of trying to find milk that is unhomogenized and is locally sourced, and trying to make, so I guess in a way I'm making more complicated steps to try to do that, and I think that it wouldn't be too much of a jump to me making a different choice altogether.
Yeah, like I think especially with milk, man, milk is so easy. Like you just get an organic soy milk or almond milk or cashew milk or whatever, or make it yourself. Like I make my own milk a lot of the time now. It's so easy. And I just think that like I did that myself. I was like, I want to find, like, when I moved to the Northern Rivers, I was like, hey, maybe here I can find like ethically sourced animal products. And when I spoke to the organic pig farmer, he told me that he sends his pigs to a slaughterhouse where they use gas chambers. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm not paying for that, even though it's organic. And when I spoke to the egg guy, they told me that they get it from a hatchery, which I found out they shred their male chicks on their first day of life, and they send their hens to slaughter when they're not laying eggs anymore.
Yeah.
So that is it. Like, I would say Mullumbimby is the pinnacle in Australia of ethical, free-range, local animal product production, and they're still doing that. So I don't think looking for a more ethical way to do a bad thing is the step that you need to take.
Do it yourself.
I think the step you need to take is, until you have that situation where you can have it in your backyard, and like, say if you want to drink milk, if you have a cow that has a calf and you let the calf have all the milk at once and you take some milk as well, I wouldn't do it myself, but I think that's much better than trying to buy it from a free range organic place at a market. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense.
Is that something, would you be willing to make that step today to say, you know what, until I'm doing it myself, I'm not going to pay for it because I know that it entails exploitation of the animals? Or do you want to continue to exploit the animal? Like, because I don't mean it to sound like abrasive, but like, that's the reality. It's a reality. It was hard for me to face, but when I did and I figured it out, I realized it was so easy and much easier than what those animals are going through. Because when you see a cow, like a mother cow that's had a baby taken away from it and it's bellowing for days, like, that is so heartbreaking. And it's like, what that cow is going through is so much more compared to the inconvenience of me having to find a milk alternative or an egg alternative. You know what I mean?
No, I do, and I'm definitely hearing you, I think.
So could you do it?
Right now, I don't think I could.
What is standing in the way?
I think that it's a good question.
Like, I know what's happening in your head right now, like, because I went through it as well, man. It was so hard for me. I was like, no, like, there's got to be a good way I can do it. Surely there's a way where I can get it and it's ethical and it's humane. And I searched everywhere. I looked at every option I could, and I just couldn't find it unless I was doing it myself. Like, and like, I'll grant you, I wouldn't do it myself with the milk, for example. But if you got to that point, I wouldn't argue with you. That's such a non-issue in the animal rights movement. I think that the idea that there is an ethical way to do it at a farmer's market where the farmers are profiting off exploiting that cow, taking its babies away, sending her to the slaughterhouse. If you leave this conversation today and you leave saying, okay, I'll think about it for a bit longer, like, you're still paying for that to happen. You are still partly responsible for that cow going through that, those chickens ending up in the macerator, or those chickens being killed when they're no longer laying eggs. Like, that is partly happening because of you. And I know that you're a person that doesn't want that happening in your name, because that's why you're vegetarian. And I think it is a very hard step for most people to go vegetarian. From there, it's a very easy step to go on vegan. Like, you just need to you need to do a bit of research. Like, you'll find it's so easy, and it's so much easier than what these animals are going through.
And I definitely get where the idea that the jump is easier, because to take out all meat-based products and animal byproducts and fish and all of that is a huge amount of what most people consume, whereas eggs and milk is a smaller amount.
Yep.
But I don't think right now I'm in a position where I can walk away from here and go, yeah, I'm changing my choices. I don't think I'm there.
That's fine, but like, I just need you to know that, like, leaving this conversation, you are leaving with the mindset that it's okay that these cows are having their babies are taken away from them in my name, and these hens are being sent to slaughter because they're no longer producing eggs in my name. If you're okay with that, then I think that's where we need to leave the conversation. Okay?
I've got one other question.
Please.
Is that okay? And it's something that I've grappled with, is coming back to the idea of like modern farming. And so you've got obviously meat industry, but also like the loss of life and habitat destruction in order to manage grain production. And how do you kind of, how do you think about that? Because I'm struggling.
It's a really interesting question. It's a really big debate. I think that the direction that we're heading with I think the direction that we're heading with our current agriculture system, like, I don't know if you know much about what's happening in Queensland with the deforestation. We're matching and often surpassing the rate of deforestation that the Amazon has, and you hear all about the Amazon.
Yeah.
That's happening in Queensland, not far from where we are right now, and it's primarily, like, if we look at this pie chart, it's for beef and sheep.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing all of this deforestation, and that's land to grow their crop and all that kind of stuff. If we look globally, this is how much land we're using to grow our human food, to grow our animal feed. Like, so this is land that we're harvesting, tilling to collect animal feed, and this is pasture land. Mm-hmm. If the world switched to a vegan diet, we would need less land than we're currently using right now for like including the animal feed that we're cropping. So we would be using less cropland. I'm not saying it's perfect. The direction that I think we need to head, and it's the direction that a lot of meat eaters say we need to head as well. They're like, no, we just need local and organic farms, like animal farms, and then it'll be better. If we have like organic and regenerative cattle farms, we need to do more deforestation. The cows need more land to live like that. So we need to make this way bigger. So we can't head in that direction. It's just not sustainable. Sustainability wise, we need a completely new path. And I think that path is like veganic permaculture. So it's organic, no animal products, and permaculture. So trying to make sure communities are growing things locally, that kind of thing. It's obviously a big change. It's a big thing we need to do, but like the way we're going right now, it's not working. I think that's what we need to advocate for.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for your time.
No worries. What was your name again?
Harrison.
Yeah, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Nice to
Appreciate
meet you, man.